The warmest of welcome to you all. This is the Smite Night League. My name is TJDJ. I've got zhatzz alongside me. It's a bit of the OG classic crew, Judas on production, and also we have a special guest coming along a little later on, the one and only King Scuba, because this is Smite Night with a twist. This is also going to be the So You Think You Can Cast competition as well. So there will be a bit of a survey. Myself and zhatzz will be judged as well. We are against our peers in a bit of a knockout round to get towards the finals. We're in the last eight. It's getting tense, but we got a Smite game to cast at least. zhatzz, welcome to the stream. Is there anything better than Friday night and casting Smite?
Oh, it's Friday night. It really is Smite night, isn't it? And I'm super pumped for this. You know, the beside the competition, which has been going really well, we've seen lots of amazing casters doing their work. Which, and personally, I've learnt a lot, so that's
Mm,
been awesome to do. We've also got what I think should be quite a good game tonight. These are two teams that I know more about what some than others. It's fair to say when you look at the player rosters. But I expect this to be a closely fought contest.
closely fought. And we're hoping for some explosive smite because this is going to be a Freunde of Ymirs versus Soaring Heights. And to those of you that have been keeping up with the Smite Night League, Soaring Heights definitely going to be a team that we are all familiar with, at least got up against Freunde of Ymirs. So for a bit of housekeeping, this is a best of three set. It's going to be Soaring Heights starting off game one on that first pick. But just going through this bit of opening spiel, that's here. When you look at power rankings, we are a couple of weeks into Smite Night League as well. I've just brought them up on my other monitor. We can have a look here. It looks like Freunde Ymirs are currently ahead of Soaring Heights, but not by much, only 10 points in it. Currently, Freunde Ymirs have a 2-1 record, and Soaring Heights are 2-2. So, as you say, this has got all the makings of a really close game between two pretty similarly placed teams for now.
Yeah, I think in theory that this could easily go to 3 games.
Mm,
I definitely expect um, a fight back from whoever wins game one. I'd expect to
yeah.
see a good fight back into game two. I think Soaring Heights, they've been um, certainly one of the bigger teams in the league.
Mm,
And I think last week they've been up against some really big names,
yeah.
and as such they've actually dropped down a little bit. So we'll see how they bounce back as well. But yeah, there's a lot of potential here, and I'm super pumped to get into this.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. And speaking of that close game as well, which was I had the pleasure of casting last week. It was versus FSN, against a team which likes a Sarpe, Personalized, Raiden, like some big names in the Smite community as well. And Soaring Heights, they did lose 2-0, but both games did go to distance, 40 minutes a
They
pop. It
did.
was quite the nail biter as well, but they kept in it throughout. But that is in the past. We have picks and bans going on in front of us right now. The ban phrase coming through pretty thick and fast at the moment. No real standout bans for me so far. I think as this meta has evolved on 9.7 and the 9.7 bonus, all of these picks have near enough been, high priority for both teams on either side of the draft.
Yeah, nothing really too surprising. Generally, we've seen a lot of junglers. I
Face
think
the
banned
bitter
away.
winds
I,
of
I thought the Lancelot
Niflheim!
was going to get through for a moment, but happy to see that gone. The Nemesis, the Raven, all very strong junglers. Yeah, I'm curious about the Kepri. I think
Mm.
Kepri has perhaps been a little. I don't want to say overly prioritized, but I think the level we're at, there's certainly massive value in being able to revive a player. So I'm happy with all the bans. Topic Heimdall is interesting to me. We
Mm.
saw it a bit, and anyone that's been watching Smite Masters last weekend, Heimdall starting to get picked up a little bit more. Very very safe. I think that's the main thing, and really,
Where
really
are you
smacks
going?
come late game. I also think just it's a decent pick first, whatever. You're not really committing into any certain
I
type of
will leave
comp or
standing no barrier to
certain
our
picks that can be
success.
countered. Heimdall's just Heimdall, and so I like picking it up early, nice and safe.
Yeah, and you're gonna need a bit of that safety as well because immediately Frundi Ymir is gonna be drafting up that Kukulin and the Ganesh. So as you say, it's going to be just rips most likely, playing that time delay. So you're gonna expect them to be having to utilize that Bifrost as well, and actually try and get the most amount of value out of Heimdall's pick, especially with it being first priority, as you say. An interesting one to take because here in the drafting phase, your opponents know exactly what they're going to go into. So doesn't surprise to see something like a Kukulin. Maybe actually I was expecting a sneaky bit of
For
King Arthur to be
Camelot!
popping in
Mhm.
as
For
well. But
Avalon!
this is a bit of a cast curse. If Freunde Ymirs are not going to take that King Arthur, then Soaring Heights are just going to pick up that quite tenacious solo laner.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen these two picks since they've come out. Really, they've always been kind of in the
Mm,
same
okay.
metas. These two picks. Um, I think King Arthur, an absolute lane bully. When you get a lead with this character, can be really, really
Mm,
difficult to shut down. Cucullin is kind of similar. I do think Cucullin actually scales a little bit better in the late game, not by much. I think they both fall off later on. Um,
I
but
awake
I
from
do
the
think that both
darkness!
teams have
everybody.
options to scale better into the later game. I'm also this is a pick that completely passed me by. Ratoska, I thought should have been first picked. Could have easily been banned as well. I just think this character is so powerful. But
mm.
yeah, there's some. It's a spicy looking draft from Soaring Heights so far. All three picks are very strong.
Yeah, and it does feel to me as well that, especially with the first pick, Heimdall, is that Soaring Heights have got everything that they wanted straight away. There's
Yeah.
no real hesitancy. We know what can happen when that Ratatoskr gets ahead. The King Arthur, becomes a raid boss. There's a lot of raid bosses
Mm.
being created on the side of Soaring Heights, and this is kind of how they like to play, especially if these games do go to distance. And it's now up to Freunde of Ymirs to find maybe it's a bit of lockdown to try and deal with it. You got the hell for a bit of sustain as well, but going to need to really invest in that CC, I feel. But we go to the second phase of bans. It looks like mid lane and jungle are going to be the target now. The Toph taken away, Osiris as well to be removed. So just wanted to see, where do both of these teams lie? Where do their priorities fall here? Did I want to completely ban out this mid lane, or did I want to, go one of each, because there's still two roles to go?
Well, I think honestly, I think that Heimdall can flex into mid pretty well. We're seeing in mid at the moment the standout characteristic of all your top level mid laners is that they don't die, and Heimdall is quite good at that.
Mm.
So I think there's still flex potential. So I mean, it's hard to argue with a Thoth and an ESET ban. Very strong mid laners. ESET, of course, also has some flex potential. So I like the bans there. What I'm looking for now is something. They have a lot of dive for this hell, and you're going to need it. So the backline's looking very safe. I would just look for more aggressive picks that can really dive onto this hell. But they do have a
Well,
Ganesh to help with that.
yeah, to have a Ganesh, and I feel as well, it's Ganesh is a pick that is kind of in between two minds, perhaps as well. It's like, do they want to be focusing in on the dive itself, or using that silence, using the Dharmic Pillars, create some space for the team as well, and a bit of that peel. You wanted some aggressions at, and I'm seeing this Kali, which is being hovered, not locked
Let
in
the
just
sounds of
yet. And
slaughter
okay,
begin.
no, there it is. Will be confirmed locked in as well. You wanted some aggression, and Front of your Mirrors have just drafted a chainsaw.
Yes. Look, I think I'm a bit skeptical about picking Kali
You
into
are not
Heimdall.
yet
The
ready
Heimdall is
to
obviously
become the Jade
you just
Emperor.
yeet Kali out of the map for a good few
Yes,
seconds.
yes, that will
As soon
do.
as she pops that destruction, that
With
for me is
me,
going to
you
be a
all
problem.
shall flourish
I'm
and
also a bit
prosper.
worried. Cucullin is good at diving the back line, but what you really need from your solo laner when you've got Kali in the jungle, you need someone to burn those
Okay.
really important relics like beads and like Aegis. And Cucullin doesn't really do that. So I think Callie, for the most part, is going to be going in on her own and is going to need to find some picks. And I don't see how the Callie's going to do that with the Sylvanas, with the Yu Huang, with the Heimdall. It's a really safe backline, and I'm not sure they have enough to burn enough of those key cooldowns and relics.
Yeah, it is a very good point that you raise as well, and hoping for Freunde Ymirs, you're picking this Cernunnos, which
Mm.
I was not. That just took me completely out of left field for sure here. But we want to see a bit of relics being burned. You know that the wild hunts being thrown
Sure.
down as well, turn everyone into some boars. It's a very powerful bit of CC that is going to force at least a couple of relics, you know, beads, maybe some shells as well. So there's tools I think for
Hmm.
Freunde Ymirs to work around, especially with this relic burning. But yeah, you don't have something like that Ares for the instant beads burning ultimates. So it's definitely a test, I think, for the team play of Freunde is to go into a very strong Soaring Heights roster. Even picking up that Yo Huang as well. If you were wondering who the Kali was going to go on at first, now you're dealing with Kaizo in this mid lane, with where we're going to assume that Yu Huang is going to go, as we have all 5 of the picks locked in. Celestial Flight, so that immunity,
Mm.
th- it's going to be a lot on Shocks to really find these crucial picks.
And I just think it's going to be so difficult for this Cali. Yu Huang is possibly the safest mage in the game, I would argue. The Celestial Fight, 3 seconds in the air, CC immunity. I just think it's so difficult to dive this character when you can banish yourself out of the fight for 3 seconds. It's essentially a Freya roll. Like that's what it is. And he gets it on a much lower cooldown. I'm a little bit concerned, if I'm honest. Now, they do have some sustain to play around, and that's going to be key. Playing around these longer, extended fights, that might be in their favor. But again, you look on the other side; they've got a Sylvanas to counter that, so that's not really a problem either. I think looking at the draft, Soaring Heights have definitely come out with the I'm not going to say the better draft, but I think there's a lot more win conditions in the 5 that they picked.
Yeah, I'm looking at this draft and thinking, well, I know what happens when KA just becomes
Mm.
unkillable. When Zephyr is on his Ratataska, it's going to become, you know, unkillable. And then, oh, by the way, just Rips is here as well, especially when we hit that late game. So a lot of pressure on Freunde Ymirs to really break through this draft. It's got the makings of a great game, and we are going to drop down, hopefully, onto the battleground for game number 1 between these two teams. Reminder, Soaring Heights are going to be your side on Order. Freunde Ymirs on Chaos as well. And as we load into the game, Zats, I want a bit of a prediction from yourself here. Is that where do you think this game's going to be at 10 minutes? Or rather, where do these teams want to be at 10 minutes?
Well, Freddie Emirs definitely don't want to have any sort of deficit in solo lane. That's going to be a big problem at 10 minutes. It's on Penta to um, not fall behind this King Arthur, because I think that's in a way that's kind of the weak point for Soaring Heights. King Arthur, when you're diving into this backline and there's a Ganesh on the table, that could be pretty tricky to survive that coming into the late game. So if Freddie Emirs can get to that later stage, I think that's their best chance.
As yeah, so maybe a lot of pressure onto Eloquence for sure. Maybe I could see, you know, Penta utilizing this Kukulin as well to really box out the very volatile early stages for the Soaring Heights draft as well. And maybe that is where Freunde Ymirs are going to find some of their success as well. And you can see with the junglers as well, Zephyr immediately going towards that middle lane as well with the pathing rotation, but this is what we see. Rotations over towards the right hand side. Eloquence does have the level 2, but they are going to be aware. Shox is around the corner here. That's they are aware of the situation. Zephyr waiting for the totem of coup, but it might be some action. It's a nice double route from Penta, but the totem of coup has been taken, and it's just going to be a bit of a handshake.
Yeah, this is what we see quite a lot from the current jungle starts. Almost every game now, you're seeing the junglers rotate to the solo lane side. It's honestly to get pressure on the Totem of Coup. And I'm not actually sure who got that, but you can get the Totem of Coup, clean up your backs, clean up that little harpy. It also gives mid laners some much needed solo farm. You can tell I'm a mid laner, can't you? I'm a bit biased, but
More
every mid
farm for
laner's
me.
happy with that. Exactly. But pressure here, and it's a good, well-timed jump from Shox to avoid the knockup. But it's all action so far. But health bars aren't really low enough.
Yeah, Shox did get a little bit low there, but I don't think Zephyr was able to find the Acorn stun. A very aggressive dart forward at least, but you know, once again, just like with that solo lane, these health bars just aren't dropping in towards that kill threshold. You know, even duo side, let's talk about that for a little bit, as we see Mr. Flicko taking quite a lot of damage as just strips with the Bifrost will eat forward. Shell will go down as well, looking to get a Ganesh out, and they will do as well. But it's Solar's getting a lot of return damage down as well. Has to be careful of the minions, but maybe a little bit of that Selenus passive helping out there with some of the melee splash as well, which we don't really get to talk about that much because we don't really see Selenus that much.
Yeah, we glossed over it a little bit, didn't we? But I think Cern is perfectly decent at the moment with the kind of ADC build you're going. We are going to see an invade here, and Zephyr sneaking around the back. The Hog will help secure it though. Actually didn't. What on earth's happened there? Flicko's gonna fall, and that is first blood to Soaring Heights. And somehow, maybe you can explain this, TJ, but despite Mr. Flicko having the Hog, not able to secure the purple buff.
Maybe a bit of a surprise there, because you saw Zephyr and Kaizo taking his red buff, and it was maybe a little bit of, wait, you're not meant to be here. And just that little split second, you know, it could just be enough. It's a game of microseconds, of instant split-second decisions that can really impact it. A bit of mistiming. Of course, it's also a little bit chaotic as well, but it pays off. You know, Zephyr Kaizo using that pressure inside the mid lane, go for a cheeky red buffing invade. You've got the timing on the void buff, and look, they're straight over there, and it's resulting in Soaring Heights getting that first kill and some good XP as well.
And I think if you're the Geo lane, you need to have had some kind of call from the mid lane. They're invading red buff. They're very much in the area, so watch out, because you know junglers don't have a lot to do at the moment. They're more than likely going to come over and gank. It is unfortunate that they don't secure that. The kill is almost irrelevant because you'd rather keep your own purple buff. You lose first blood mounted as well, of course. So Soaring Heights certainly very, very happy with that. Now it's about kind of damage limitation. You've given the Sylvanas Heimdall lane a bit of a lead, which is a little bit scary, if I'm honest, especially when you look at the Kern Ganesh combo. Again, they kind of want to scale. They kind of want to get some items online and don't really want to do a lot of fighting early. That is one, I would say, drawback to this Kernanos. He's certainly adept at fighting, but not right now. And so that's going to be a sticking point. And I would expect Zephyr to come back to this lane.
On Solas. It's going to be pulled back in, but it's a really nice omen from Mr. Flicko, hitting that silence onto two members, so they can't utilize that ultimate advantage, at least. So they will get away from that. Over right-hand side, it's going to be Eloquence with the Excalibur's Fury. Penta thrown up from the knock-up, and Zephyr is there. The Ratataska rotation is complete, and Zephyr being very, very proactive inside of this early game. They get their own kill.
And this is exactly what I not even want to see. This is what I expect to see from Ratatoskas in the jungle. Such early presence when you upgrade that Acorn. Now it's so easy to apply that stun with that upgrade. You're going to have so much more pressure than a Kali is. Kali only just getting the Golden Blade online. Shox really just wanting to farm up for the first 10, 15, you could say 20 minutes. And this is exactly what I want to see. And to be fair, they time it really, really well. The knock-up from through the Cosmos, perfectly timed, and it's just a bit too much, that CC chain for Penta to survive.
Yeah, it is kind of nutty when you think about it. The fact that Eloquence is just able... that was intentional, but that was unintentional. But I will take that at least. Because Eloquence with that Excalibur's Wrath, you know, is able to take someone out of the fight for over 3 seconds, and paired up with Zephyr, who's, you know, with that through the Cosmos, it only has to be in the catchment area, not in the postcode, just around to at least get that semi-global rotation over. So yeah, really liking the team play coming out here from Soaring Heights. And this is an important test, I find, for teams, especially when we are here in the tier 3 essentially of Smite, is that you've got the lead. Fantastic. What are you going to do with it right now? Because Soaring Heights really want to look to punish here. As Jupiter, we've not really had a chance to talk much about the Hell pick in here, but they are not having the best of times here. But Soaring Heights, though, might be caught out between a few members. Penta coming in from the solo side. doesn't get the root off as Kaizo is
Kaizo.
going to use that immunity, but J-Mal triple knock up from the ultimate. The Dharmic Pillars will go down. zhatzz is here as well, but Front of Ymirs not committing to the fight. They're not burning anyone, and Soaring Height is going to stand under pressure. Big stun from Zephyr going towards this middle lane. Eloquence as well into the Excalibur's Wrath onto Shox. There's no way out, no ultimate, no health bar on the Kali. A third kill going the way of the Soaring Heights. They will leave, but Shox is a worthy target.
And this is the problem with trying to fight into Kaizo's Yuhuang. You can just bait in the air for so long. It seems like an eternity in Smite. 3 seconds is such a long time.
Yeah.
And Kaizo looked like to be in a bad spot, but able to bait. And it was a great knock up from Jamal. Zephyr in a little bit of trouble, but should be able to scarp her out of there. Yeah, it was great support play as well. And you mentioned it, Jamal, with big knock up. Just helped to stall it out. And then through the Cosmos, zhatzz is there again, able to clean up. Another great fight for Soaring Heights.
Yeah, and it comes off the back of Freunde Ymirs and maybe a little bit of hesitancy there, because for a moment at least they did have the numbers advantage. The rotation came in, but we saw how the fight went. At least it was Soaring Heights picking it up again. Some mechanical plays coming through here as well, but Freunde Ymirs want to get active inside the middle lane. Kaizo is able to get into the Celestial Flight, even with Mr. Flecko's Ohm over the top, but the CC immunity was already there, and Kaizo lives to fight another day. Freunde Ymirs kind of licking their wounds a moment here. They're looking to try and find something at least. Just rips maybe a tasty target with this invade towards the Void side. So Freunde Ymirs will answer something back, but they need a little bit more, I feel, zhatzz.
Sure. I think it's, it's certainly a nice thing to keep Solace kind of in this fight. You don't want him falling behind to this Heimdall. I like taking the purple buff away from Heimdall. Just relieve a little bit of pressure. Not much, but it's little wins. And at this point, you're a little bit behind if you're Freunde Ymirs. So I think it's a good idea just to try and relieve some of the pressure, because it's all been Soaring Heights so far. And that's not to say that Freunde Ymirs haven't been aggressive, but it's just, again, I can go on about this Yu Huang all day. It's going to be so tough to kill this backline. But they're not in a dangerous spot yet. They've got plenty of fight back potential, and they just need to keep it going. Hell is farming perfectly fine. Got plenty of stacks on the Book of Thoth.
Oh,
you're not super behind either.
No, and the Freunde Ymir is still looking for something. There's the incense done onto Eloquence, but this KA is starting to get really dangerous right now. You can see the XP and the gold graph. Sorry, just starting to shorten that. Get a bit of efficiency going. The gold graph really starting to focus towards Soaring Heights. That was what, a 2k XP lead, and this gold lead as well. Thank you, Judas. Yeah, 2k on the XP, 1500 on the gold graph as well, all in favor of Soaring Heights. Not really transitioning into solid items ahead, but that XP gap that you're going to start to see across the board is really going to hurt, especially when we get towards the mid game and we get to see some of these objectives started up.
And I've got to look at the jungle again. Zephyr playing the zhatzz as you should. 2 levels ahead, 2.5 realistically over Shox on this Kali. We know, and Freunde Ymirs will know, that they don't have this early game. They need to just stall it out. They need to scale. They need to get items online. They're doing that okay, I think, so far. They won't be too unhappy. But when we start to look at this kind of grouping, maybe around Gold Fury, and in fact, it's Freunde Ymirs who are perhaps in the better position, but with Zephyr on this right-hand side, blinks in, gets the stun, and the spin to win. Not quite. Penta lives to fight another day, but that's as good as a kill. That's yet more of a lead onto Eloquence on the solo lane. And now I wonder if Eloquence, once that teleport is up, we might see a big fight over at Gold Fury.
Yeah, you're looking at the timer there. Currently on 85 seconds as well. But right now, neither team really making any meaningful moves towards the Gold Fury. You can see that both teams have had their share of taking the Oracles. Sure, get a bit of vision down inside that Gold Fury pit. There are some wards as well. Soaring Heights have got 2 of them placed down, plus the Oracles as well. Firmly in control, but I like this from Freunde Ymirs, but they have to be careful. Wait, zhatzz goes towards the mid lane. It's actually going to be Jupiter, but a good CC cleanse on themselves. Freunde Ymirs peel away from the Pyromancer as well to help out the mid lane. Soaring Heights, they get the pressure mid, and they also pull off the Pyromancer. I don't think that was the plan, zhatzz, but hey, you take it.
I think that would have been a free Pyromancer, and you know, whether you lose your mid there or not, you're taking an objective. It's a big dive and a big commit onto the hell, but hell with beads. The heal is going to be doing a lot. You have a lot of self-sustain. That would have been super worth. At the end of the day, you don't lose anything, but that should have been a Pyromancer, I think, because even if you make that rotation, having dropped Pyromancer, it was already too late, I feel. So I'd have liked to have seen them stuck on that, because it was a good call. I really like the call there.
We are going to be approaching 12.5 minutes in. See, members from both teams have had quite a few resets as well. We can look at some item builds. Where are we going to go? Eyes are on, of course, on Shox with his Kali, wanting to get impactful. Golden Blade completed with the hastened katana as well on top of that. So the chainsaw definitely starting to rev up a little bit, but not quite there just yet. Over on the other side, though, seeing a bit of anti-heal coming out from Kaizo on the Yo Huang, a big target into this hell, and also, you know, just Rips slowly getting these items completed, especially with full stack Transcendence.
Yeah, and it's another Pyromancer that they've attempted. Zephyr is doing a lot of damage, but could get caught out here. Needs to get into that ult sooner rather than later.
The Omon's Zephyr, but the dart away to get escape with the zhatzz they will. But over on the other side, it was all caught out as Jupiter. No beads to get away from that one. It will be Eloquence to find the first pick. Shox going back in as well. Has got the destruction, but can't use it. The CC chain was fantastic. The knockup was fantastic as well. J-Mal with the pull can't find it onto Mr. Flicko, but Eloquence is there. Full HP, quite a bit of mana, and they will take down the Ganesh with that Blade Storm. The next target is Penta's a conga line into Soaring Heights. So one after the other kills go the way of Orderside.
At some point, you just need to 50-50 a Pyromancer. It's only Pyromancer. If you lose it, you're still going to be behind. If you take it, it's a big gap that you've decreased. I feel they should just stick with that and then leave, because the fights just aren't going their way at the moment. This Kali, you're not really able to do much with this hasten katana. Gold Fury, as a result of all that fighting, Pyromancer's still up, but they don't care. They're just going to go straight for the Gold Fury. They've wiped out 4 of them in that fight. It's looking pretty rough now. 7-0, big gold lead, experience deficit across the board. You've got to be worried now if you're Freunde Ymirs. Now is the point where you need to start making proactive plays. They've kind of been doing that, but they need to be actively seeking picks now.
Yeah, I do like the grouping up, you know, safety in numbers as well. I feel like maybe an objective is a little bit too much of a risky play, to be honest, because Soaring Heights want us to fight in these situations. They're looking for opportunities, and if you give them said opportunity, these fights, you have to say it, look like they're only going to go one way at this moment. So I like Freunde Ymirs, you know, starting to group up, you pick up these great Scorpions, make sure you're being on top and proactive in your XP camps as well, because at late game there is a little bit of solace in what Shox can do, but it feels like such a long road ahead for Freunde Ymirs.
Yeah, and I'm going to toot my own horn a little. Remember when I said at 10 minutes, at 15 minutes, you don't want your Cucullin to be behind this King Arthur? It's exactly what's happened, and look how much of an impact Eloquence has been able to make in these mid-lane fights, whereas Penta is kind of, you know, it's irrelevant whether you're late or not, as long as you're there, but you're not going to be able to make an impact at such a deficit.
Oh, Mr. Flicko.
Oh, wow. Been pulled in, and this could be a dead Ganesh.
Dark Pillars comes down, but Eloquence switches target to Jupiter, and look at the hell just vanish before your very eyes. 2 kills almost instantly as Shox now the target between 4 members in the destruction, but that is not going to last an eternity, my friend. Eloquence with the overhand slash, and it's a blink away. The Kali might be able to leap away. They will at least, but Soaring Heights, they pull the trigger and they fire 2 kills.
And I think, look, Penta is running back to solo lane, having not been able to get in the fight, and has now missed out on potential farm, a free farm that Penta could have got. I just think they need to cut their losses at that stage. Do what Solus is doing. Not really rotating. Is actually slightly ahead of Rips. That's what you need to play around. But on the other hand, you want to keep this Kernanos farming up. Whereas Penta on the other side kind of half commits to the rotation. And as a result, you're just falling more and more behind. Now, this is a super early Fire Giant call. But what are you going to do about it? Your tanks are here. Fire Giant's going to be shredding, but I'm not sure they can do anything.
You got Dharmic Pillars, you got the Spear of Mortal Pain as well. Fire Giant still being aggroed at the moment, but Soaring Heights want to fight. You've got to turn their attention towards Kali, who's already fallen. And now the burn comes out from the Soaring Heights. Penta does get one back as some low health bars at least. But I think the Freunde Ymirs are just too far behind. Eloquence with a double kill in this fight. It's 4 more falling around his Fire Giant pits. And you have to feel the neutral objective is the next target once again.
But I don't hate that for Freunde Ymirs. I think that could have gone a lot worse. They finally get a kill onto the board. They get onto Penta, which is nice. I mean, I think Kali and Hell are still going to struggle. Mr. Flicko's behind. But Kern still is able to get another level off of that, basically, by not rotating. They get their first kill onto the board. I don't think that's awful. And I think, it was always going to be a bait from Soaring Heights, I think, unless they really didn't come to contest, in which case they'd have had a free Fire Giant at 16 minutes, which you do not want to let happen. Now Solus can possibly get into these fights and do a decent chunk of damage. Needs to be a little bit careful, but I think Solus can take this. Gets the jump as well, but it's all because Zephyr is here.
Oh, the Wild Hunt onto 2 members. He's going to burn a beat onto Kaizo. Zephyr out of the fight already with the dart away. Freunde Ymirs creeping back up. The team have rallied around the members that got dove upon. J-Mal quite far forward, but Mr. Flicko is going to dissuade any further shenanigans from the Sylvanas at least. And, I think it definitely is on the back of Solus here. Because in these fights, you spoke about a bit of an XP lead as well. Not too far behind Rips in items. And you saw what happens when they're able to get a really impactful Wild Hunt. A lot of pressure on the CERN, but that's where they're grouping up. And maybe Freunde Ymirs can find a way back here. Because right now, Soaring Heights are looking so good in all of these fights. Eloquence now in between tier 2 and the Phoenix, looking for the flank as well. The blink forward, looking towards it, Solus, but can't find the ultimate. Zephyr also after the CERN as well. There's the Sun, but there's no ultimate here. Zephyr will take down the supports as well, and actually takes down the CERN, and also the Ganesh falling to Eloquence as well. Caught in what they thought was safety. Members arrive, but it is a little bit too late.
I mean, they've just taken down the win condition for Freunde Ymirs. I don't know. They need to play around Solus more, I think, and I think the Ymirs were just a little bit late on recognizing that. It was great from Soaring Heights, let's be fair. They recognized that, hang on, this Kernanos is going to be the problem, if any. So they focus on that left-hand side. They take down the tier 2. They get a kill. They know the relics are down from that previous fight. And that shows great teamwork and communication because they have it on point with those timers. That's really nicely done.
Yeah.
And now that's kind of your win condition. I mean, the lead is going to vanish. Ripley's going to catch back up. Even if Solus was able to stay ahead, Kernanos can't 1v5. You in a way, you need the rest of your team to just be farming elsewhere, but you also need to help Solus in that situation because that's the win condition. Look, it's a terrible position to be in. It's kind of a lose-lose, whatever you do, but I just feel that they need to offer a bit more to Kernanos here. But again, they're perhaps not in the position to do that.
It's a difficult spot to be in as well. You have to feel that if there is any chance of this game not being ended by a Soaring Heights Dia side, you have to take it. And here we go, maybe another location for it. The Fire Giant started up already down to 3rd HP, half HP, quarter. It's gonna be going. It's gone the way of the team on Order's side. From the Ymirs, not going to contest it either. It's underneath the Phoenixes they will go. As you can expect, Soaring Heights to start to balloon this gold and XP lead way out of control.
I feel like if you're Freunde, you just send someone over to try and steal that. Because essentially then, you're kind of putting it to chance. And if you do get it, Zephyr could get caught here. Actually,
they got him.
Massive.
It's one less fire giants at least, and also a shutdown going towards Jupiter as well. Ping's coming down. Solus on the left hand side still farming. Soaring Heights a little bit caught out here. Teleport coming through over towards that left hand side. Catch the wave at least. There are a few recalls come down, but that's a big pick from Freunde Ymirs.
I just don't know what happens there. Zephyr dies with beads up. I don't know. I guess just gets caught. The stun comes out from the Kali, and that's a really, really big pick. And I was just thinking, you know, Soaring Heights, they're now going to group up. They're going to start pushing down these Phoenixes. It's going to be really difficult to defend that. But you take a Fire Giant off of Zephyr, you kind of stall their push. You get some farm back for yourself. That's a really, really great pick.
Yeah.
And it kind of means that Fire Giant call doesn't matter quite so much. You've given yourself more time. And that's exactly what Freunde Ymirs need right now. Time
is money, my friends. And as I said, yeah, with that stall, you can see that Eloquence having to burn that teleport to go to left-hand side to answer Solus, but Solus might have to pay, though. 3 members looming around, but Eloquence to blink the ultimate up. The Wild Hunt will go down, does catch onto Eloquence, but the damage is too much, and Aegis comes out, and Eloquence, the King Arthur, will just run down this Hunter for the Freunde Ymirs. The tier 2 tower will drop as well, but it's a huge loss for the team on Chaos side. Soaring Heights wanting to keep going. They still have 4 Fire Giants. Just Rip still has the buff on them. The Spirit Immortal Pain onto 2 members, but it's a big amount of damage lost for the Freunde Ymirs. Another big knockup from J-Mal as well, but Zephyr is going to find a knockup of their own on towards Penta. Body's still not dropping. That Phoenix has still been alive. J-Mal's got to be careful. They will fall to the Phoenix. Penta gets the first pick, and Shocks even able to shut down Eloquence as well. Freunde Ymirs getting a lot of value, but Soaring Heights still have members, they still have damage. That's a blink, but Shocks punishes straight the way. A double kill for the Kali. The bird goes down, but what is the cost?
That's a really surprising result. I mean, they get the middle Phoenix eventually. It takes them a damn long time, but they eventually break the base. That's what matters with these early Fire Giants. If you can get 1 Phoenix down, it gives you the opportunity to put more pressure across the map, and that gives you more power, more leeway over this next Fire Giant. So they get what they want. They lose 3 members in the process. I just think they take a little bit too long. Eloquence, and you know, that's all off of killing Solus on their own in the mid lane. And Solus is thinking, well, where on earth is everyone? I've just been picked again under my tier 2 tower. No one is even close to help, but somehow they're able to turn that fight around. And I think you have to look at Jupiter, who's, I think, doing quite a lot of damage and is able to sustain through quite a lot of the pressure from Soaring Heights. They perhaps need to focus a little bit more on shutting down this hell. You know, we did see an Ank come out, I believe, but they're perhaps on the wrong targets. Maybe you need to focus down the hell a bit more. Maybe it just comes down to, can you auto attack the Phoenix a bit more, please? Things like that. But it's not a loss. They've still got what they wanted. They're still in control. They've got all 5 members up for this Oni Fury. That will be a big help for taking down this next Fire Giant. I would expect it to go uncontested once again, but I'd like to see Ganesh come in and try and steal it maybe, but honestly, I think given that it's not enhanced Fire Giant, they have a decent chance of defending 5v5 under a Phoenix.
Yeah, it's, as I say, it's just buying that time. You would expect that this is going to come down to maybe not the next Fire Giant, but the Fire Giant after that one.
Sure.
At the very least as well. It's kind of like you need 1 Fire Giant to break the base, 1 Fire Giant to break the game sort of thing. And, you know, but that takes time. You've got the respawn timers of that neutral objective, and all this time Freunde Ymirs still catching up. You saw that Soaring Heights had a lot of shutdowns here as they are in the mid lane, but there's a bit of a pinch coming out from Freunde Ymirs. Eloquence in between 4 members, going to be topped up by Jupiter as well. But over towards the mid lane, you can see Shocks has already burned Kaizo's Celestial Flight. There's a big grouping up as well, some AoE damage coming down. Kaizo's getting a lot of value as members going to get low. J-Mal, a good route, but here comes Zephyr, but can't find a knockup. Shocks able to blink away. Soaring Heights want to finish this game right now. Penta will be locked up and has to to escape and just rips. Will find the target. Zephyr finding another. There goes 3. The dominoes start to fall around. Freunde Ymirs, a double kill for the Heim Delir. They wanted to end this much earlier, zhatzz. And it took 26 minutes. They were in control the entire game, you felt. But Freunde Ymirs just kept pegging them back as much as they could, but now no one is going to stand in their way. D aside for the Soaring Heights. The Titan goes down. Game 1 goes their way.
I would say it was pretty clean. Let's be fair. Soaring Heights dominated throughout the game. They won every lane pretty much. There's an asterisk on that. Again, Solus was farming well. But unfortunately, the Kernos was never in a single 5v5 fight. Not once. Perhaps that last fight in mid lane, I kind of see why they took that, but I just think you have to look at the gold deficit. Even though your levels are okay, you just look at that and think, they've got a lot more items than we have. We should just back off here. I think they should give up that second Fire Giant. It's not enhanced, so they can afford to give that up. You've lost your least valuable Phoenix, if you like, in the mid lane. I think you can 5v5 defend under Phoenix, and even against an FG team. I feel that's what they should have done. There were obviously other problems in the early game that they need to address, but I think there were some positives. I think a few adjustments need to be made. I'd expect to see a fight back into game 2 there.
Yeah, and just a quick note as well on that game-winning fight coming out from the Soaring Heights. It was quite an ambitious move, I felt, from Ymirs, is that they didn't actually group up at the start. It was a many-pronged attack in from the jungle as well. And whilst they did burn some crucial cooldowns, Kaizo was forced into Celestial Fight very early on as well. But as soon as they grouped up, the Yo Huang is still there, and 24k damage. I want to say, it feels like most of that was in just that final fight as well. Just so much value out of the mid lane. Of course, Kaizo having a very solid game on Yo Huang throughout. And there are some questions as we look towards the game 2 draft stats. So we're going to move that one over for a little bit longer. We're going to go to a short break, and we will be back very soon for game number 2 between Freunde Ymirs and Soaring Heights. And welcome back to our coverage of Soaring Heights versus Freunde Ymirs. This is going to be game 2 coming away very shortly. TJDJ here. Zhatz alongside me for the ride as well. And at the end of that game number 1, Zhatz, we had quite a few questions to mull over, especially when we look towards the upcoming picks and bans. Some picks that maybe probably need to be banned away, and others that maybe just need to be switched out.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised that they chose to take the Cullen over the King Arthur. First of all, I think that will be changed come game 2. The King Arthur was just a bully, and it's not even anything to do with the two solo laners. It was the fact that the jungler was able to rotate
Mm,
so much and impact that lane, and really Penta didn't stand a chance to ever do anything in that game. So whether that means switching up, maybe taking the King Arthur, or I would get rid of the Rat personally. The Rat at Tosca for me was more of a factor in the early game. In fact, was the only factor in the early
mm.
game. So that's the main thing I would change. I think once we got through the early phase, the Rat Tosca fell off a little bit. Zephyr started to struggle more, but that's to be expected. And at
Yeah.
that point, you've got everyone else kind of online and fed. It doesn't really matter what you do as Rat at that point. So that would be the big change that I'd make.
It went from being the lion's share of the damage to just being essentially a rotating knock-up bot
Yeah, yeah,
throughout there.
absolutely.
But they did get a lot of value out of, said knockups as well. Some crucial ones, especially in the latter stages of game number 1. But game number 2, of course, is on the horizon. A
There it
little bit
is.
of housekeeping. This is a best of 3 sets. So this is game number 2. Soaring Heights are currently 1-0 up. They are on set point, and they will be on the opposite side of the map this time. They are your team on Chaos.
Wow.
Thunder Ymirs on Order side. Some bans coming through, and immediately Zat, Ratataska, King Arthur are just gone. No hesitation. Heimdallr also going to be taken away. And that's a very quick amount of bans coming through. And you know what? It's very on point
Yeah.
Tremble
for
beneath the
Freunde
waves!
Ymirs to pick this Ymir.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ymir is
Even
decent.
gods must
I
heed the
think
scales of
it's
fate.
very early to take the
That may
Ymir.
be
You can
your
just kind of
undoing.
play into it and pick a jump. I mean, so that would worry me a little bit. They have got the Cupid and the Nem, two picks that were banned last game. Soaring Heights chosen to ignore those this time because obviously
Mm,
the bans were switched up. I don't think you need to ban King Arthur, but I can see why you do it. Um, Look, Freya is also a highly thought of ADC or magical ADC, I should say. Decent into Cupid, you just ult out of the fields of love. Cupid is going to have the pressure, but Ripley, once they get to the late game,
mm.
going to be a real problem. But so far, I like the adaptation that Freunde Ymirs have made. They've got a lot more pressure in the early game. In fact, a lot more when you look at Soaring Heights draft. So, and I just think that's the best way to react, to respond to getting kind of dominated in that game 1.
Yeah, you need to really be on the front foot. It's
Yeah.
interesting as well is that Front of Ymirs, apologies, have picked up this Cupid and Nemesis, which we did see be banned away in game
Mm,
number 1. Of course, this is what happens when you're having to alter your bans. You develop a little bit of a set meta
yeah.
as well, and if you're having to remove the rats, if you're having to remove KA, if you're having to remove a Yo Huang as well, you have picks left available to you. Third set coming through. Ula and AMC will be removed by Friendly Ymirs. The Yo Huang will not be in this game. But again, no, it's going to be taken away from Soaring Heights. And I think that game did prove the value of that pick, which we were harping on about. But Soaring Heights, they are going to still be present in this game. They throw down a
The
gauntlet
law
with this
returns
Mercury.
to this land.
Yeah, that's. I
And
mean,
then you just go to
Mercury.
here. Okay, right.
I mean, Mercury's a very, you know, feast or famine, I think is the term.
Mhm.
And generally, you're not eating much in the early game. You just want to get your items online. We'll see what kind of build. Might get the Golden Blade, might get Rage, that sort of thing. But don't expect a lot from this Mercury. Honestly, Soaring Heights have nothing in the early game. And if they're not careful, Front Ymirs could absolutely steamroll them out of the game before they ever get
Winning or
items
losing
online.
doesn't
So
matter.
We
I
alternate
love the
in the
draft. I
end.
also think
Okay.
Soaring Heights, on the other hand, are probably experimenting a little bit. I think the
Hmm.
Mercury, it's a very, very different style to what Zephyr had in game number one, but I like it. I think it could work. I like it into Cupid. I think it's fine into Nem, although I think Nem can generally get the better of that trade for most of the game. Um, yeah, I like the Freunde Ymirs draft, and I'm confident that they will get a good fight back here.
Yeah, you really want to see some of that early aggression, especially taking a Ymir as well. I always like to think that they are one of the standout early game supports you can take. The frost breath at in those first early levels is game changing inside of those lanes. Also, we say lane changing as well. But some big, maybe some blink plays coming on later for sure. There's still so much to unpack. So I'm loving it about these draft stats is that we can probably sit here for a full podcast
Yeah,
fully
we should.
breaking
Yeah.
down the stats from both of these games. But unfortunately, time is not really our friend at this point because we do have game two up and ready. But I'm sure we will find some time in the game to really talk about it as well because I'm wondering where members of Soaring Heights were going to go, and now that we are finally going to be in number two, we can see where the members will fall. It's going to be Kaizo taking the Clio into the mid lane, Zephyr on the jungle, Eloquence on the Artio as well. And of course, the most standard thing in this draft for Soaring Heights is, a Freya and this Mojo in a duet lane.
And do you know, I've seen Cleaner Mid before. I think it's pretty good. It's assassins into mages. You're always going to win that trade. It's about whether you can actually clear well enough in the early game, and I think Cleaner can do that. Got the Bluestone Pendant. I like that. Applies it very, very well. I would expect to see some possible kill potential, but Rips and Janal have already hit level 2, and there's early beads onto Solace.
It's a big pick onto the Cupid at level 1, only got the Heart Bomb available, but right-hand
Jungler's here.
side, Zephyr looking for something onto Penta. It's a level 1 tier, the special delivery will throw the tier a bit further back. Shocks is here with the slice and dice as well, getting some slows down. Penta will escape on a low HP, but Shocks really wants this pick onto Eloquence. The minion block is just too strong, and Zephyr will look to turn it around. The special delivery and instant beads will be burned, and somehow Freunde Ymirs will keep members alive with a sub 100 HP.
Unbelievable. And I thought Shulks had screwed up there. Doesn't get the second dash off. Obviously wanted it to try and secure the kill. In the end, no one goes down. Solo laners took so long to hit level 1, and that meant that the whole nature of that fight was just so slow. No one quite falling quickly enough. Narrow margins across the board. You get beads on the Nem, which is good. You don't really get pressure on either solo lane. I suppose it obviously favors Eloquence, who has a teleport. Tyr does not. So if it favors anyone, it favors Soaring Heights. You get the beads and no teleport on the Tyr. So a little bit of pressure there, and not what you expect from a Mercury jungle, but Mercury level 2 is pretty good, and using that special delivery to good effect, but not quite able to get first blood on the board.
It's not quite able. I mean, that was like very, very, very fine margins at least.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit unfortunate as well,
Just
but
free.
sometimes the dice have to fall that way, as you can see Zephyr even getting a bit of a cheeky invade going on. So nice to see Soaring Heights, even though they haven't been able to find 2 kills at this point in the game, they're still looking for these invades, looking to exert that pressure. But yeah, with Freunde Ymirs, you wanted them to see, to them to really take Soaring Heights by the scruff of the neck, and to have those tools available. We spoke at length about them, but right now it's still 0-0. Solus will be caught by the Riptide. Mr. Flicko looking for something, but oh, nice double stun as well. So you can see the CC is there, but Freunde Ymirs just not really pulling the trigger just yet. So I imagine we're going to see Zephyr and Shocks be the real playmakers.
Yeah, as we see a freeze come out to Ripley and the heart, but I wonder if that's stunning. That's
There's
a
a
lot
stun.
of poke.
Oh, there's a shell coming out. The Moonstrike.
double
Onto
stun.
2 as well. J-Mal coming to the rescue once again. It's an interesting one. Oh, Jupiter on the rotation as well. I
Mm,
mean, Just Rips doesn't have beads at this point. You can see Solus is on level
heart
4.
bomb.
Might be able to hit level 5 as well with the Fields of Love, but the Heart Bomb
Nice.
will do it. A nice rotation from the mid lane. Gets first blood onto it. Solus and J-Mal will only be able to walk away. Mr. Flicko, of course, if you name yourself Thunder Ymirs, you have to give the mascot at least 1 kill.
That's a pretty good look. You get 2 kills with the dual lane. Zephyr perhaps looking to clean up, but I'm not sure if it's just Zephyr. I don't think they're going to be able to do anything. So they get away with that scot-free. It's quite a good rotation. And this is perhaps one disadvantage of the cleaner. I kind of mentioned as we see Sonic Boom, and Shocks just gets ulted. Uses the beads and the shield, but
Oh, Solus is
Zephyr.
here. Yeah, he's going to throw down the Fields of Love, but there's just no further CC. The Heart Bomb will land. Is this going to be a stunning one? No. A Riptide to get Zephyr away, but Kaizo is here as well. Shocks is a very low HP. Already burned the beads as well just moments ago. The Moonstrike can't connect onto the Nem, and they will... are able to get away from that one. Mr. Flicko arrives on the scene, but it's getting a bit nervy, zhatzz.
And that just comes from Shocks kind of looks at Zephyr and like, go on, do it. And then Zephyr just does it. Which you never, Mercury's never do that, but just a Sonic Boom in. Rips needs to be a little bit careful here, getting a 3-man rotated on. I'd expect they actually not go for the aggression. Mr. Flicko is on his own.
Oh, good banish.
I think on a different page there, because you had Jupiter and Solus went for the purple buff, so not interested in a potential second kill onto Ripley. But they secure their own purple buff, so I guess they're fine with that.
Yeah, and you still have the beads available for the Freya as well. If it is only Ymir following through, then I think Just Rips does have a little bit of safety about them. Also, the Valkyrie's discretion. I think Just Rips being quite safe in that one. But just going back though, just rewind a couple of minutes here. In game number 1, we spoke about how Shocks was going to find difficulty going onto some of these members. See Jupiter having to blink away, at least a bit of safety. Moonstrike's done. I want to make this point, my friends, and you just want to keep on fighting. Fine, I'll put a pin in it for now. Zephyr is here. Special delivery, looking for Solus. He goes to pop the beads. The Fields of Love goes down as well, but still got the Sonic Boom available. Shocks will be banished. Rips into the Valkyrie's discretion as well, but J-Man is here. The River's Rebuke, a runway for the Mercury to go down, but it's only actually able to affect 1. For now, Mr. Flicker will be CC'd up. But with Kaiser coming in here, this might be a potential for the mid laners getting involved.
And yeah, this is what happens when you're able to poke out the mid laner. You're able to make this rotation to dual lane free, because the enemy mid laner is not getting the farm because you just sent them back to base, and now Jupiter knows about it. And
nice shoot to get away, and the flicker. Some very nice fancy footwork to get away from that one. Very punishing, I find, on the Merlin. That flicker is on double-digit cooldown at this early stage. It is such a big cooldown to punish. You can see Penta going forward and will be able to secure their own blue buff away from that one. Did cost the ultimate and maybe an arm and a leg along the way, but hey, the blue buff is going to be firmly around Penta's waist. You see here, Kaizo finding it a little bit difficult to deal with Mr. Flicko with these rotations coming out, but I think we're seeing this Cleo mid start to make sense here. I can just envision, just going to pierce the veil inside of that mid lane and just rotate over. And that's really what they need to happen, because, picks are going to start to go their way. Zephyr finally able to get their first pick on the board. You can see pierce the veil straight down onto the wave. The wave is cleared, and that's what Soaring Heights wants to play around.
3-man rotation, nothing Penta can do. No beads available, of course. It doesn't have a lot of items online. And I do want to touch on the earrings pickup for Penta, but we might have to wait on that because it's an invade attempt. Special delivery in. Zephyr's low mana, but the Moonstrike, the Emoja is here, and Shocks needs to get out of dodge.
J-Mal has been on point with those stuns that Emoja is able to pump out, and that's what you really need from Emoja. One of the only supports I feel you can truly hard carry from that role as well. A good Emoja just takes over games as well, so hopefully J-Mal is going to be feeling very confident. I do want to bring this all the way back because we had talks in game number 1 about who Shock's going to go on. Look, Solus, I'm trying to make a point here. Can you stop?
It's not going to happen. No
Right,
way.
okay, we're gonna speedrun it, it's fine. We talked about how Shocks on the Kali, we found it difficult to go onto the backline, but also Zephyr is gonna have that problem because look at the amount of CC that Freunde Ymirs have pumped out here. Zephyr's gotta pick their moment, and you look to punish onto its Zolas. They do have the Fields of Love that goes down, but the banish as well. It will mez onto 3 members, but Zephyr is still getting the damage down, and the Cupid with nowhere to go. The body blocking is solid. The Cupid will fall. Does defeat the point when you have 3 members rotating.
Yeah, look, this has happened consistently. It happened in game 1 as well. Now, they are looking to get a 2v1 over in the solo lane. Eloquence has been ulted. It's a nice stun and forces the beads as well. I think Eloquence is super fine here. This is not going their way.
Oh, there's a blink. Penta looking for the knockback underneath, but it's not a cripple. Oh, no. The Vine Field is clutch. Mid lane, Kaizo will be rooted up with no beads as well. Unfortunately, he doesn't go down if you are a Freunde Ymirs fan here. Another pistol bail onto the lane. Zephyr looming around, but Mr. Flicker very far forward as well. Frostbeth onto 2 members, and here comes a dive from Freunde Ymirs. They're going to take down Zephyr. It's Jupiter going very far forward. The wall coming down. It might have spelled doom, but thankfully, Freunde Ymirs are able to spare their blushes there. Penta with the rotation over from right-hand side as this fight goes into a second phase.
Unbelievable. Flicker gets pulled back in by the Riptide. It's a better wall this time, but no mana available. Have they got enough slows? Have they got enough CC? Nice Fearless into the tower. Eloquence is getting burned. Might not be enough damage, though.
Oh, the Eclipse was nearly enough. Just ripped into the Valkyrie's discretion. They will find the pick onto the Merlin. The range from the Freya coming into their own. Lawbreaker down from Penta. The knock up onto just ripped as well. Trying to find something, but needing the follow-up. Solus is here on the rotation. Does have Fields of Love. It's going to land onto 2 members, but Zephyr has got the Ymir at least. It's going to be a dash away from Solus. Low health bars at least. 1 heart bomb would be quite the stun. Penta locked up as well. Zephyr just going to auto attack. Just rips there with the banish. Has spelled the doom for the solo laner. But Shocks is here as well. And we go into phase number 3, zhatzz.
They just keep on fighting, and Soaring Heights are just taking every fight with the numbers advantage. But now Rips in the 2v2. It's another great Moonstrike. Shocks chasing down Rips, but I don't know if they have enough.
Guys, with the auto attacks, we'll be able to confirm, but it's answered back in towards this mid lane. Jupiter with the flicker in, looking for the turn towards Jmail, but the Riptide away, and a chaotic 2 minutes. Looks like it might have finally come to an end.
Now, try and pick the bones of that one, because I don't know who won that fight, because it did go on for about 2 minutes there. Now Zephyr is technically in a kind of 1v3. Mr. Flicko doing some good zoning work. Health bars are not great on the side of Soaring Heights, but in the end they'll settle for the red buff invade. Freunde Ymirs, I mean, if nothing else, they look up for this, and they are fighting at every opportunity, and I love it.
Sure, yeah. And Freunde, it's an explosive one, as Shocks will be thrown back by a special delivery. Frostbeth goes wide. That would have been the death of Zephyr, but here is just Rips with the Freya. Now starting to work that damage in towards Mr. Flicker. You got Jupiter. He is looming around to throw out a little bit of the AoE to dissuade anything else. But still pumping out. You can just see the player damage. Valkyrie's discretion comes out. Just Rips really wants this. It's a good step back away from the Frostbeth, but Solus was waiting behind. Just Rips hard committing onto the Ymir, but a great Riptide from Jmail to get their Hunter out of dodge. The Veil will be pierced on towards Mr. Flicko. The wall comes down to stop this. Penta's coming in from the right-hand side. What is this arena game we're witnessing here, zhatzz?
It's marvellous. Do you think that any of these 10 players... Oh, no, it might be a solo kill. Ripley's got no more ranged autos. And Solus will run away with the barest of HP. It's bait, though. It's a bait. Oh, my word.
Got baited by their own hearts, but the Dukes, the left to the right, the left, the right, and just Rips just can't confirm that killing blow, and they might have bitten off maybe a little bit more than they can chew. You can see that ultimate is not available to them. Meanwhile, right-hand side, Pyromancer goes the way of Soaring Heights. This is mental, Zach, in the best way possible. Jupiter with the pullback, the stance change knockup will be enough to confirm onto just Rips. It's quite something, you know. My brain needs a few seconds to, you know, get back in gear.
They're not going to give us the chance, I imagine. It's another gank, and Penta is in quite a lot of trouble here. No beads online, trying to bait out. You can't CC. chain this tier as well as any other character, but there is an awful lot of CC. Sonic Boom being charged. Sonic Boom off the mark. Penta is baiting so well. Could be a big fearless, but gonna fall down. Eloquence picks up another kill. But now they go straight to the Gold Fury. This is a good call. Kaiser is local though, and health bars are not looking great.
You know, 4 health bar. You saw 4 health bars on distance in that solo lane to start the Gold Fury. It's a nice wall to stop the Gold Fury, and they will be able to secure it with the ice shards. Jupiter once again blinks in. The stance change knockup is not going to be there. Just rips them out inside the Fields of Love. There's a River's Rebuke, but oh, what a Frost Breath to come out from Mr. Flicko. But it doesn't matter how good that stun is. The wall to save multiple members. This is a highlight reel for Mr. Flicko in of their own. Members from Soaring Heights starting to come into the fight. The Ymir will bite the dust. Pings, though, are coming out onto its Zola, so you can see that Soaring Heights do not want to end this anytime soon, but at least the dash is available. Zephyr looking for Jupiter, the flicker, the Spirit of Flames onto the ground to get away. And once again, it's just fight, 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 fight.
Do you know, before they did that Pyromancer, I imagine... Do you think anyone had said the word objective, like
macro?
Yeah, anything like that. No, it was just all fighting. The beads to avoid the silence, but Kaiser's going to get a kill onto Jupiter, who has been flickering in aggressively at every opportunity. And this is kind of how you respond to game 1. You just kind of need to brawl it out, get some kills on the board. They've already got more than last game, I think. Oh, it's going to be another solo kill.
Wait.
Oh, not quite.
That was an interesting one. The Aegis came out from Zolas, but it was actually a calculated bait. Waited for the dash to come back, and they're able to escape. You can see Ripsto immediately looking towards the Void buff, but Zola's still knocking around. Can't find the Heart Bomb, though. That would have been quite the crucial one. Mr. Flecko is just going to be playing with their food at the moment. You can imagine that just Rips will be able to get out of this one alive. I really hope. You can see Shox is around, so is Zephyr as well. This is a lot towards just Rips, as they're just going to juke around this dance, this waltz inside the duo lane. Sonic Boom, 2 members will be caught. The Fields of Love goes down as well, but Soaring Heights are able to escape from it. Zolas is the target. Valkyrie's Discretion picks them off. The members are here. J-Mal, the Riptide, the River's Rebuke comes down as well, looking to confirm the damage down, but these are quite bulky members at least. You've got Kaizo on the rotation as well. Another good Riptide onto Jupiter, looking for something, but again, double freeze from Mr. Flicko to stop that engage.
I mean, I can't believe that some of the plays being made are fantastic. The walls are looking really good from Mr. Flicko, but Kaizo is in the fight. Level 15. Oh, it's a lazy back, but not punished. And now Kaizo could be the one punished.
Oh, you can see Shoxo stuck under the left-hand side. Who is caught here? I'm not quite sure. J-Mal will at least get one pick, and Kaizo's still in between towers. Looks like they will just be able to walk away. Jupiter answers back onto the Freya at least. A nice double Moonstrike as well. Kaizo from between the towers is there to find the mid laner once again. 4-0 and 3 for Kaizo. The Veil comes down. Solus is here, but with no relics, and I think Soaring Heights have probably realised that they probably want to get a back off and spend some gold.
I bet they've got a lot of gold in hand. I mean, that feels like, you know, not quite all in one fight, but several extended fights. And I think everyone's having a great time because they're just fighting each other. Every ability is being used aggressively. Except the solo laners, it's worth pointing out, they have given in a little bit. They've gone back to their respective lanes, and as a result, they're kind of massively ahead of everyone else on the map, with the exception being Kaizo in the mid lane. But a good bead to immune the Sonic Boom, but it won't. They won't be up for the special delivery, and that's another pick onto Shox, who is it's fair to say struggling in this hectic game as Nemesis.
For sure, here in a game that has been dominated by dashes, dives in, terrain, it's got to feel bad for a Nemesis that, you know, is just like, I only have my 2 dashes and that is it. I don't have any CC to really lock anyone down.
Yeah.
It's a tough old life for Shocks. They are the ones that will be caught on the receiving end as well. You see that Mr. Flicko,
Bye-bye.
target of 4 members. The
Ooh,
Ymir
baiting
throws down
well.
the Ice Stars, but Soaring Heights are going to switch up their target at least. Look towards the Merlin, but the Merlin gets away. Penta with a knock up onto Eloquence as well. But you're looking for where are the damage dealers? Well, there is just Rips rotating in from that duo side, but Mr. Flicker with a good wall
Phantom.
to stop that at least. The Phantom Veil popped as well to get away from the River's Rebuke. I love the adaptation. As it looks like
Oh,
from the Ymirs just want to keep on going. That's a knock up towards just Rips. It will be popping the beads as well. The Freya still staying alive, and a radiance from the Merlin pulls in too. And here comes Shocks looking at some damage.
nice.
Triple stun from Mr. Flicko. And in front of the Ymirs wants a clean up house, but Soaring Heights are going to put up so much fight to prevent that. But 2 have gone down. Eloquence, the next target. Heart bombed up, will
Healing.
not be stunned. You have to be careful. Kaizo was still around on full HP, full mana. Zephyr is here. The assassins have entered the fray, but Shocks goes back in and is finally able to pick off the RTO. But 2 assassins deal a lot of damage. Health bars dropping. Triple kill for Kaizo, who is left to free cast in these fights. Penta will be the last one left to get possibly this quadra kill. I don't think Jupiter wants to flick onto this one. Sonic Boom. Zephyr's going to go into himself, and they will find the killing blow. The tier, last one alive. The knockup answers back. It is a 5 for 4 overall. Deicide for the Soaring Heights.
Unbelievable. And that was a delayed quadra kill for Kaizo, nearly a pentakill. I mean, I think Zephyr was really trying to give Kaizo that kill onto the Merlin. Unbelievable. It's just fighting across the board. Shocks, shout out to Shocks, who does really well, I think, given the level deficit. Actually gets a few really good picks. The Ymir freezes have been very impressive, and you've got to talk about Jamal with the moon strikes. We've already said moon strike a million times. At least half of them have been double stuns. Fantastic stuff. I did want to touch on a little bit. One big reason that the fighting is great, but one reason that I think Soaring Heights are just winning out a moment, apart from the fact that they've got a level 20 mid laner, but we'll ignore the levels and things like that. There's a bit of a lack of anti-heal, I think, on the side of Freunde and Ymirs. They've only really got that Divine Ruin. And it is being applied well, but we saw how long Eloquence was able to live. Got a lot of healing off. The same for Kaizo. Kaizo's got a Soul Eater, hasn't died yet. Valkyrie's Discretion. The Aegis will immune that final shot. Fields of Love come down, but Rip secures the kill before the Mesmerize comes out, and should be pretty safe.
Yeah, tier 1 tower have the minions as well, even wanting to keep this going as well. And with that build coming online, the Bane Troughs, the lifesteal coming out, just Rips, look at that, like back up to essentially 3/4 HP, because they know another fight is gonna start to brew up. Their Shocks
Absolutely is.
in the vicinity. The blink, the retribution onto just Rips, no Valkyrie's Discretion.
Nice.
The banish was beads out, the Riptide
Riptide.
just Rips alive, and it will be enough. But you can see Jupiter with an aggressive flicker through, and Zephyr will punish that one any day of the week. Flicker goes in, the ice shards onto 2 members, but it's only going to be a slow. Shocks trying to answer something back, but now it's just conga lining once again, one after the other into this meat grinder that is called Soaring Heights. They pick up 4 more kills in another extended fight. Solus is back on, but 3 members down. Can we finally get some objectives done, please?
I mean, they're going to get tier 2. I'm sure they'll push.
Oh, my sanity.
They've got fire. They've got Oni waves. They've got a Trebuchet in mid. Shout. The Riptide. Everything about Jamal's play today has been excellent. Solus
is gone.
On. Nothing you can do about that. Penta forced to ult away.
Banish beads.
It's the banish as well. There's no kill potential, but it's just making space. This Phoenix is going to go down. The base is broken, probably later than expected, but they've all been fighting for the last 10 minutes, and I can hardly blame them. It's been ridiculous, frankly.
The base is broken. The mental is probably a little bit broken right now. The chair 1 play-by-play is certainly broken right now at this point. But oh my word, do we actually love it. Soaring Heights, 24 kills to 10, 34 before the 25-minute mark. I would love someone to do the maths, but right now my brain is absolutely frazzled at least. But here is the thing, right? Is that in that 10 minutes of breaking from Conquest to play Arena,
Yeah.
Soaring Heights was still growing that gold graph. Look at it. It's like these fights looked relatively even, but Soaring Heights were just able to get one further kill. They were able to get one more after every single fight, every single objective, getting these Furies as well, and it has resulted in an 11k gold difference. And with that much fighting, you know, item builds are looking pretty healthy right now. Pyromancer is going to be the target, and I think Freunde Ymirs are going to let this one slide. So we do get a little bit of downtime, Zat. So you spotting
No
anything?
much.
Are you spotting Kaizo leaping into the middle of three members, hitting a silence on towards Penta? Fields of Love coming down as well to get the solo laner out. Shocks in a bit of bother. The Jutsus will turn their attention towards him. Flicker is now the next target.
Whoa.
Eloquence will be able to take that one down. Maybe a bit of a last hit, but you can see the damage that Soaring Heights are able to do. We've hit level 20s. We've hit a level 19. This composition is well and truly online.
And I think if you're Freunde Ymirs, it's very easy in these types of games to get kind of dragged in. You get sucked into all this fighting. You think, yeah, we'll just brawl all game. But actually, with the lead that Soaring Heights already had,
Oh, the knockdown! He stole it! He got it! I mean, he's gonna die for it, but hey, it's one more for the highlight reel.
Worth. Absolutely unbelievable. That was the ult. I just did enough damage. I mean, incredible. This game keeps on giving, and you know what? It doesn't matter at all. Like genuinely, it doesn't affect the game at all. Maybe it slows it down by another 5 minutes, which I'm not complaining about, frankly. But still, one for the highlight reel. Fantastic.
I think it's a very aesthetically pleasing steal as well.
Yes.
As you watched Judas, man on production, absolutely killing it. You know, followed that action all the way down.
Yeah, it was
Shocked
good.
though with a fire giant buff.
I
There's
like
not going to be lasting very much longer. The veil was pierced and a 9 killing streak for Kaizo. Wow.
Incredible. It's that weird situation of, well, what do we do with our fire giant now? Because you sure as hell don't push with it. Like you don't try and think, we'll do some objectives. Yeah, there's no chance. There's no fighting to be done. I'm sure we'll see some more, but Soaring Heights still very much in command of this game.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time, and as I say, we kind of said it last game. It is about time. Soaring Heights aren't going to get any more ahead. Like, sure, the gold and XP can keep going up in terms of the gap, but realistically, the longer this goes on, the better for Freunde Ymirs, because the gap gets smaller as we proceed, because there are only so many items you can buy. There are only so many levels you can climb to. And you know, looking at levels for Freunde Ymirs, they are not too bad. Builds, I mean, you know, they're pretty behind. It's fair to say. I want to talk about this support build that Mr. Flicko's gone with. We've seen quite a lot of Thebes Mail of Renewal and being combined into these support builds. It's an incredibly expensive item. It gives you a lot of health, and we've seen Mr. Flicko has been able to tank for a very long time.
Yeah.
But it does mean that your build is so far behind anyone else's. And in support, that matters more than any other role, because you do not get as much gold as everyone else. I don't know. There's debate about it. I'm not sure either way. I think it's done pretty well here. You know, for Mr. Flicker, you're behind regardless in this kind of game, and having lots of health and being able to survive for a long time is nice. So, you know, I think it's worked well here.
Yeah, because you're relying on Mr. Flicker hitting a Wonder Wall, which they have been doing throughout this game.
Yeah.
The Frost Breaths are on point as well. Sure, they're probably going to get blown up very early on, but if they are able to hit that, well, not if actually, because we have seen time and time again they are more than capable of doing it. You know, that Ymir still has value. Soaring Heights, though, want to keep the pressure on. This lull time, there hasn't been any fighting for about 3 minutes, and Soaring Heights want to change that. They will take down the Phoenix and back away at least. So, keeping Freunde Ymirs on their toes. Going to watch the fire waves start to respawn. You can see in the top left corner of the map on the right hand side, you can see those little squares coming out. The enhanced mini waves will come in, and it's such a really tricky Phoenix to lose as well, because it's opposite side to
Yeah.
Fire Giant. You force Freunde Ymirs to decide one way or the other, but right now they just want to fight.
Wow.
Just Ripsto has already got its Solus as well, and that is a huge pick as well. You've lost the Fields of Love, you've lost a lot of that team fight presence. Zephyr will Sonic Boom straight in as just Ripsto takes down another member. This time it's the
Again.
mid laner. Primary physical damage gone. Primary magic is gone at this point. Your support is out of there. You can see Shocks with a double dash to try and get away, but Soaring Heights on a train that just will not stop. And all of that comes from a jungle pick. Members once again from Freunde Ymirs fall into the meat grinder, and Soaring Heights, probably a lot more easy than they would have wanted it, find 4 kills at the Titan in their sights. Eyes on the prize. Just Rips will complete the deicide only for a completionist's sake, at least. But right now, the one thing that matters is a 2-0 set victory for the Soaring Heights.
Good stuff. I mean, Freunde Ymirs improvement over game 1, so they've got that going for them. They did a lot of good fighting, lots of nice individual plays, a Fire Giant steal. Honestly, only really positives for them. I would say the second, they had Fire Giant, and I think they missed a big opportunity where they could have grouped up and actually tried to defend that left Phoenix's 5. It's something they didn't do in game 1. They didn't do it in game 2 either. And I think when you look at the team comp of Soaring Heights, they've got a Mercury who can't crit. You've got Kaizo who's doing decent damage. You've also got Freya who's your only, true ADC, and she's not a true ADC because those Phoenixes are not going to go down as quickly as you'd like, especially without Fire Giant and especially without a true hunter. When you've also got a Merlin on the table, you've got Fire Giant, you've got 5 members up. I think they could have grouped and defended any Phoenix they liked, even the weakened one. I think they had a really good chance of doing that, but they kind of missed an opportunity. They didn't group up for it. And again, when you open the base, that's when you give the enemy team the win condition. And that it actually opened the door, literally, for a Soaring Heights win, which, to be fair, was probably never in doubt. They were dominant throughout game 1 and 2, but excellent showing from both teams. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, and standout individual performances as well. I want to say
Mm.
that, like, throughout this set, I mean, we're going to pour more superlatives into Soaring Heights right now, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that every member had their standout moment in both game 1 and game number 2 as well. I mean, J-Mal for me on that
Mhm,
emoji.
mhm.
Oh my word, that was
Crazy.
wonderful to watch. Kaizo, 10-0 and 9 on this Cleo.
Yep.
I'm not going to say that's Cleo mid. That's just Cleo. That's just Cleo in the hands of a team that know how to play around it, for sure. And hey, if you can get it into your composition, if it has to go mid, it has to go mid. Fine, whatever. Just Rips ripping into members of Freunde Ymirs at any time. They were just solo running down whoever they wanted. And it all just came together so well. Commiserations to Freunde Ymirs. They put on a really good show. I love that, and I hope everyone watching enjoyed that as much as we certainly did, at least. But again, Freunde Ymirs had some good moments as well, particularly Emma Jupiter and Penta.
Yep. I like to say only improvements
Mm,
from game number 1. I think they, Solus looked decent. Jupiter had some good damage, good player damage on the Merlin. I always love the aggressive flickers, and in that kind of situation, you might as well try and get some kills onto the board, and they did that. They got much more. I think Mr. Flicker was really really good. I really enjoyed the Ymir play, which is as you'd expect from a team called Freunde Ymirs. The walls were on point. The freezes were great.
mm.
It was a fun performance, and well done to both teams.
Well done, and GG's all round. That is going to bring the set to a close. GG, well played to Soaring Heights. They take the victory over Freunde Ymirs 2-0, and that is going to do it for today's cast. And it's going to be a bit of an extra one, a little bit more alongside, because I would like to welcome back to the desk King Scuba to take us through the second half of this cast. But from the games itself, that's going to be it from myself and zhatzz. We hope you enjoyed it.
Second half. You got. Wonder if Judas has got another game planned. I'm not sure,
Ah, we'll see.
but really, really excellent game. Great casting from both of you. Just for those who might not be aware, I am King Scuba. I am the official Discord moderator. I'm in charge of leading So You Think You Can Cast and kind of scheduling it around. I have posted a link in the Twitch chat. If you go there, fill out a simple questionnaire, and you could win yourself a couple different Smite codes, different and $50 from me. That's going to be at the end. For the two casters now, we're going to run right into the coaching segment with the useless coaching from myself. I am a viewer. I am not a caster at all. So just a few highlights. I felt that Fire Giant Steel, that last one, I felt like usually you want to give a lot more energy for a Fire Giant Steel. Like, oh shit, they stole it. But not in this case. I think you called it right on that one. I just want to say that right now. It's like it was obvious this game was going to end in their favor, Fire Giant or no. And yeah, your energy reflected that. They pretty much just pushed straight through, and even the 5 extra minutes, it really didn't grant them that, did it?
That was hype. That was awesome.
Yeah. I honestly don't have too much for you. The only thing was you kind of stepped on each other a little bit every here and again,
Mm.
but that's to be expected. It wasn't anything that kind of popped out at me. It wasn't anything that made me go, "What the hell were they doing?" Um, for chair 2, all of your stuff, Zats, was pretty on point. You kind of had to talk about the points that were presented to you, and you kept it moving along nicely. There was a lot of action in both games, so you didn't have a lot of time to really, hard dive into what you wanted to hard dive into. You had to go along with it. Energy levels from you, TJ, spot on. I didn't hear anything that was really too low level, too high level. So you controlled yourself. You controlled your pacing real well. You didn't get kill feedy. You got to throw in a lot of like minor jokes, minor puns, which I appreciated. So yeah, not a lot of coaching criticism for either of you. So good work. You guys
We'll
killed it.
take that. We'll
Yeah,
take that.
marvelous.
Thank
Thank you very much. Good stuff. Remember everyone to vote. Yeah,
Yes.
Scuba's linked that.
So
Well,
yeah, there is
yeah.
a link in the Twitch chat. Click it. It is going to ask you for your Discord ID. That's how I'm going to contact you if I pull you on a winner. I just throw it into an RNG. The email is only there to make sure that I'm not getting duplicates. I don't save those. I don't look at them. I don't care about them. Be flat honest with you. Outside of that, if you want to continue on watching So You Think You Could Cast, we only have 3 more games in round 2. And then we're out of the best of 8 and down to the best of 4. So we're going to cut half the contestants again. It's gonna be another bloodbath. It's gonna be good. If you want to catch up, if you want to keep up on that, you can always go to the official Discord, and because we're not only staying on one place. We like to circle around. This is the second time we've been on Smite Night. They've been gracious enough to let us be here. But you can go to the official Discord, sign up for amateur or the event role, and you will get a ping when these go live. That's all I got for you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, King Scuba. And I think that's time for us to end the main broadcast, at least. So we're gonna say a huge thank you to everyone, all the teams, all the players, and all you wonderful people in the Twitch chat as well. It has certainly been a blast, and as I always say, I hope you enjoyed it as much as we certainly did. That's gonna do it for today. We'll see you next time for some more Smite Night action. Take care and good night.